Shut up and sit down.
I am a radical libertarian.
And we don't want the government to do a damn thing.
The current state of politics is unsustainable, politically, economically.
You deserve better.
It is about supporting, platforming, and assisting the people who are out here actually doing the fight.
You just take an issue that's important to you and do something.
There you go.
You are part of that declaration against tyranny.
Because no one brings tear gas to a gunfight.
This conversation gives me a little more hope for the future. The one, the only.
Fight for liberty.
This is the cherry on top.
This is FSM.
Hello, fighters. Welcome back to the Fight for Liberty Live. I'm your host, David Fight, here to get you fired up about men and women out here making the world a freer place through politics, activism, business, and more. And we have one of those very such people waiting in the background right now. Very good friend and an even better activist. Super stoked to introduce him to all of you lovely, lovely people. But first, we got to give a big thanks to the people who keep the lights on, our wonderful sponsors. You hear about them every single week, but I'm going to tell you about them again because, well, I just really like them. So Blood of Tyrants Wine, the official spirit of 1776. If you are looking for a nice night in while also sipping on the blood of your enemies and supporting the destruction of the tyrannical state, look no further than Blood of Tyrants Wine. A nice Merlot distributed by activists you know and love. Bloodoftyrants.wine is the place to go. And if you use promo code FSM, you'll get 10% off your first order. That's bloodoftyrants.wine. Or click the link in the description and use promo code FSM. And now they have an awesome yerba mate based energy drink it's like a tea. It's non-carbonated. It doesn't have any sugar or calories or any of that bullshit in it. No taurine. Low caffeine content if you're like used to a Monster or something like that, but that's okay. It's better for you. So check that out. Same site, same promo code, same discount. Go check out Blood of Tyrants. And next up, we have Crafton Business Services. Crafton is dedicated to helping entrepreneurs start, grow, and maintain their businesses by providing a wide variety of products and services to make your business more efficient, manageable, and profitable. They understand how frustrating getting your business off the ground can be, and that's why they put together their business in a box solution to turn your idea or side hustle into a fully functioning company in one place for one transparent cost. So for under $1,000, you get corporate filing, registered agent, a logo, business cards, marketing strategy, accounting consultation, and more, just for $9.99 plus state theft. And if you're looking for a little bit more than that, you can add a custom website, web hosting, more marketing material, more time with the marketing team, and 5 times the bookkeeping services and the first box of business cards just for $24.99, again, plus state theft. And if you are already a business owner, you already have a business, Crafton can help you grow to new levels with targeted marketing campaigns, affiliate programs, website and social media redesigns, and more. Or they can help make your business less of a headache with streamlined accounting, tax prep, and compliance. All of this is at crafton.us, or again, the link in the description, and use promo code FSM to help support the network and the show and everything else that we're doing here. I'd really appreciate that. But let's get back to the fight. Our guest tonight went from state chair to DRD to regional director and then a few other things, finishing off as the director of students' rights for Young Americans for Liberty. He's now the founder of the Save Long Island PAC. Mr. Angelo Veltri, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. Just to clarify 2 things, I wasn't actually a state chair with Yale. I never really started off on the campus side like that, even though I did get introduced to them in college. So I started off with their PAC, Make Liberty Win, and then ended up joining Young Americans for Liberty for there. And Save Long Island is not a PAC; it's a 501c4. We can do up to 49.9% political activity as per the IRS and all the laws and everything governing, what we're allowed to do, which I don't agree with them, but it's fine. It's okay.
I feel you there. All right, man, I need to fact check my intros a little bit better. That's like the 3rd time in a row.
You're good.
A little, at least some sort of inaccuracy. I don't know why. I thought that you were New York State chair there for a minute. But I guess, you jumped right up and over that and were a DRD.
Would have made some decent money. I'll tell you that.
Fuck yeah. I mean, I don't know about New York because it's not exactly the best state to do liberty in, but
Yeah, sure.
we'll see. So I always like to start off with a little bit of a testimonial question. So I'm curious, how did you find out about libertarianism?
Oh, this was back in, I'd say, 2019. Um, as the primaries and everything were kicking off on the Democratic side and all that, um, I just sort of started looking into libertarian philosophy, hearing about it. Some of the first videos I came across were like that naked guy on stage and all that sort of stuff, and then started looking into the party, the philosophy, and realized that I was, you know, a libertarian. And at that point, I was still registered Republican. So from there, went off and registered LP. But it was mainly because of after getting after getting the taste of Trump and what he was actually doing with his presidency, and seeing the problems that were coming with that economically, COVID wise, all of that sort of stuff. Once I started seeing a lot of that, that's when I started changing a lot more toward the libertarian side, I guess you could say.
Makes sense. Yeah, he was not a good president. That's for sure. Um, so how did you turn that into actually getting involved in the movement? I know you said that you started off mostly with Make Liberty Win. How did you find them and get involved?
So this starts back in 2018 when I was still a neocon, or consider myself a Republican. But yeah, so I was back at LIU Post, and some dude approached me, got me involved with the club. I was with them for the semester that I was there for college. And then they must have had me on their list, kept contacting me. I would always push it off because they were like, "Oh, we have a campaign," which is a lot shorter than their month or two long, or going on the road for half a year. And it was also in New Hampshire. So I was like, all right, it's 3.5 weeks. I can get up the time off of work, and it's in New Hampshire, close to home, obviously, from Long Island. So I said, screw it, I'll do it. And it was a good experience. I met 3 other guys on the road, and, just knocking doors up there, doing what we had to do to try to get that election win, which couldn't get, but it's fine. I mean, that it was a tough race. But yeah, no, so I did that, and then they invited me down to their field director training after that. So Make Liberty Win PAC was hosting a training down in Austin, and went down there, met the guys from the PAC, trying to get that promotion, because this is really where I've wanted to be for a while in politics, but more in the liberty sphere, since like 2019, 2020. So this was, end of 2021 at this point. And by January, I got called for another campaign in Virginia Beach for school choice. And I did that for 2 months, from January to like the beginning of March. And then in April, that's when they finally contacted me, said, let's get you on as field director, and did campaigns in Kentucky, Georgia, as well as Illinois. And that's actually where my Airbnb burned down. That's a fun story. But then from there, got the promotion to deputy regional director for the Northeast, went down to Texas for the summer, went to our convention in Florida, and then back up to the Northeast. And then right from there, just back into Texas when I got the promotion to regional director.
Hell yeah. Yeah, you rose through the ranks there fairly efficiently. And I mean, YAL is one of the things that I've always loved about YAL, is that they are really quick to promote from within and kind of like train people up to take on those next positions. It's something that they've always been good at in general, but I think you moved through the ranks faster than even is average for YAL, which was kind of fun to watch as your friend.
Yeah, no, it was interesting because, you start off, you're knocking doors, and you're like, all right, how long until I get a promotion to a point where I'm going to be in an air conditioned building, sitting behind a computer, and like, it's still hard work, but it's a lot more comfortable than knocking doors in either 30-degree or 100-degree weather. So They are good with that. They are very good with promoting from within. It's a very niche model, I guess you could say, which is something that I'm sort of trying to replicate with Save Long Island because their model does work. What they do works, and people are a lot more people are free because they're around versus if they weren't. So the work that they're doing is very good, and like you said, they really hone in on that culture, which is why they from within so much because you got to understand what Yale's about, and that's a lot of companies though, because you got to know what you're trying to either sell to people, whether it's services or goods or anything like that. You have to know what the company's about, the morals, the mission, the vision, all that sort of stuff. So
Yeah, for sure. And I've talked a lot of smack about them on the show. I've also talked a lot of good things about them on the show. Like I definitely agree with you when you say that the world's a freer place, with them in it. So let's fast forward to current events. Tell me about Save Long Island. Where did the idea come from? What's the mission behind it? And how do you plan on seeing it through?
yeah, well, New York sucks. Let's start off with that. Albany is
Agreed.
no better than I mean, none of the state capitals are good, but like Albany is no better than DC. Like it is a complete swamp. It's a Democratic supermajority. Even if the Republicans wanted to do something, even if it was pro liberty or not, um, they wouldn't be able to get it done because unless they're compromising, which what a lot of them are just doing with the Democrats up there. So Albany's a lost cause. Long Island is my home. This is where I've grown up for all of my life. I moved to Austin for 1 year to work with the Al, but besides that, this has been my home. Understand the politics out here. I understand what people want. I'm talking to them all day, every day. And this is something that I've wanted to start for a while. It's been more of just like a idea in the back of my head than anything. But once I left Yale earlier this year, that's when I sort of figured, you know what, I'm still working for another organization right now, but like I I figured it's just the right time. I'm gonna be back home. That's where I am now, back in Long Island. So I figured I'm gonna be boots on the ground. And there's no better time to start than now. Like, let's get something started. I want to be able to actually pursue something that's going to be of benefit out here because just everything that's going on. I mean, from the COVID stuff, everybody was pissed off with that. That was a real awakening for me because of just seeing how many people were defying the orders out here. It was very pleasant to see, I'll say that. And then also like Long Island Loud Majority, they've been around for quite a bit now. They just have all those rallies and truck driving all over the island, Trump flags. But like, yeah, whether I agree 100% with some of those people or not, it shows that people are pissed off. They're pissed off with the status quo. And the thing is, like, as much as I do want us to voice our opinions, and I think that it's beneficial that we go out there, it's just very showing out here that not a lot of people have the training and ability to be able to actually change things. So that's why, Yao was actually able to give me that training, give me those tools. So now that I'm able to be back here, it's just sort of right place, right time to combine what I've learned with my passion for keeping Long Island safe and free and prosperous, and combining those into educating, obviously, the rest of the masses about what liberty is, how it can work out here, and just being able to preserve our rights because, Albany's a lost cause. So that's why we're focusing mainly on the island, the county legislatures, townships, stuff like that. Our main focus, though, is going to be the counties, and that's what we've been working on a lot so far.
Yeah, it's funny you're saying Albany's a lost cause because I completely agree with you. And I was just trying to make that point last night while I moderated a debate about, whether or not people should be doing activism through the LP or through a different organization, like say Save Long Island. So one of the people in the debate was trying to pretend like the NYLP was a viable thing. And like, no disrespect for any of the people in the NYLP, but you and I both know it's not. It's just we're not going to do anything on the statewide level as the LP. Even the New York GOP, like you said, can't do a single thing useful statewide. Even like the people we're sending to Washington on our behalf, or on the Republicans' behalf, not ours, but you know what I mean, aren't doing anything. Like even our Republican Congress people aren't even doing anything in DC when they do have a majority. Like we're just not doing anything as New York. So I think the key to liberty in general is decentralization. So yeah, like just attack where you can win and what you can do. And Long Island, like, yeah, like you said, there's a lot of people in outer areas of New York that aren't part of like Albany, Syracuse, Buffalo, or New York City that feel very differently than every elected official in Albany. And there's actually an ability to get something done at like a town level. So what are some of the things that you are trying to get done at a town level or county level?
So one of the first ones, I have a board with me and a couple other people I've spoken to that are knowledgeable on the issues. And we've decided that ban red light cameras, which actually I have right behind me, that's going to be the best opportunity to get ourselves off the ground, to really make ourselves known for what we stand for, that we're no compromise, organization, that we want to pursue something that's actually going to benefit the the people out here. And this is something where I've brought this up to dozens and dozens of people so far, and I haven't even been able to make it out to colleges or the township fair, stuff like that, to really push it. But from the people I've spoken to, I have not had even one. Actually, I did have one person, but they were from New Jersey, so their opinion doesn't matter.
Yeah, they don't count.
But not one person that lives out here that said, I disagree with you, we should keep them. So it's usually the response of not just, oh, cool, but hell yes, thank you so much. That's what I'm hearing. So this is going to be our number one issue. A lot of our, we're trying to fundraise and get donors that are going to be able to help us out. We're trying to just build our list, get everybody out here that understands, that they want these things gone, that we're actually going to be able to do something about it. And there was that guy a couple of years ago. All respect to him. I love the guy. Stephen Ruth, who was the guy taking down the red light cameras. He was like said, this is exact quote, I believe was, all you need is a pair of balls and a painter's extension pole.
Yeah.
And he just knocked the lights up. So, but yeah, we're going to do it legislatively, not physically.
Boo. Boring. Lame.
Yeah. But yeah, so
respectable,
that's our main issue right now. So
I like it. I like it as because I mean it's one of those like really clear. There's like you said, I mean, maybe there's some stupid people that are from New Jersey who, their opinions don't matter. But like, I don't know anyone that's like, yeah, I really like red light cameras. I really like speed enforcement stuff. I really like, speed cameras. That's like a great thing that I love, having to like live in fear that I'm going to go 3 miles an hour over the speed limit in just the wrong section and get fucked. Or, I mean, like red light cameras, I guess, shouldn't necessarily be too much of an issue because, like, I don't know that many people that like run red lights a bunch. I don't know, Tom Pinkasov sometimes.
The problem with it is, and this is sort of how I got to explain it to a lot of people that might be not 100% gung ho on it, but are like, but don't like might have questions like, don't they help, protect people and like keep you? Well, one thing is that I have read a couple of statistics where out of not just Long Island, but other states as well that have red light cameras, where those intersections where they are implemented, there is a higher rate of what's that type of crash called? Where they're sitting there, they get hit from behind. Yeah, those type of crashes where the person is slamming short on their brakes to make sure that their front two wheels don't go over the line, and the person behind them will come up and hit them. Rear end. They get rear ended. That's the term. but yeah, there's a higher rate of those. Just the pure fact too of and this is my favorite way to explain it, is that for a violation on the road to be prosecutable or to get a ticket for it or something like that, it has to be witnessed by a police officer. If somebody were rolling through a stop sign in your neighborhood, or if multiple people did it, and you went outside with your phone to record the people and their license plates as they rolled through and brought that to the police station, they would be able to do absolutely nothing about it. So why is it okay for the county to sell our rights away to these companies that own these red light cameras? Because it's not the county, it's a company that is getting paid to operate those things. So, and where's that money actually going? Like, this is where the accountability and oversight comes into it too. But we're basically paying these people to infringe on our rights and do something that would not be okay for me or you to do. You might have a better stake or better interest in that because you want to keep your neighborhood safe. These people are trying to steal money from us.
Yeah, and twofold, because like the more successful they are at getting getting people ticketed and fined, the more money they're bringing into the county, and the more money they can ask for from the county legitimately for next year's contract. And that's how government contracts work every time in every industry, no matter where you are, no matter what you're doing. Even if you work at one of those like really good companies that works for the state that like actually is helpful and is saving taxpayer money, it's never the same contract number the next year, like never. And it's not just like accounting for inflation and like a little bit of a raise for your people and whatnot. But even if that is all that it's doing, like we as the taxpayers are sitting here funding, like you said, our rights being sold to the highest bidder, so that a bunch of people can make a paycheck. We're keeping an entire company afloat because there's no, I mean, I could be wrong on this, but I don't think that there's any private market for red light cameras. This is all like these companies are entirely taxpayer funded, when they just shouldn't exist at all. Like the entire company, the lights in their office. I mean,
the basis that they're working on is completely unconstitutional. You can't, like I said, you can't just go out there and film somebody and bring it to a police station. Why is it okay for these companies to? And who's getting the money? It's the companies at the end of the day to own and operate these things.
Yeah.
And I want to see who owns those companies and stuff like that. But same thing with the bus cameras now that they're implementing. They're literally making police vehicles out of school buses. Now, this isn't something that is a high issue right now. It's not a top priority because of obviously public opinion on these. Well, we got to save the kids and blah, blah, blah. And when you do anything with kids,
for the children.
Found that out throughout the children in the past couple of years have been a major thing. So it's not a smart thing for us to really hammer home on. But as much as I disagree with it, it's really not the biggest. The most liberty really isn't at stake there either. The most liberty is at stake with people getting hit and everything with the rear ends through red light cameras, getting money stolen from them. Even property taxes, that's going to be another major one that we take on because the property taxes out here are extraordinary.
Yeah, insane.
And school boards, stuff like that. A lot of the school budgets. There's a lot that we want to do, but starting off and at least to get our feet wet and start off with an issue that a lot of people care about, it's going to be this one. But like I was saying, the school bus cameras, like those are another violation of liberty. Like as much as like you look at the statistics, especially out here, kids aren't getting hit by school buses. It's always school bus drivers that are drunk or running off the road or whatever. Like it's never that these kids are getting hit, but that's just statistically.
Even just like the fucking like blinking stop signs that make you stop even if you're on the other side of a like divided highway. It's like, why? I have never in my entire life seen somebody like whizzing out and around a school bus. Maybe that's because of the laws being there for so long that it's just like common sense now for our generation. Like it's been 30 years of these things in place that it's just become second nature. But I'm personally of the belief that like a lot of these laws can be sunsetted because of those types of things. Like maybe it was a good law at the beginning because people were whizzing out and around school buses and were hitting kids back in the 70s and the 80s, and that is a thing that actually did happen every once in a while. And so they started enforcing all of this shit. None of the new drivers that got their licenses within the last 25 years are even going to think about passing a school bus, like ever. Like it doesn't need to
And
be
even having the
enforced.
stop signs on there is good. Like, have the stop signs on there. Tell people that, hey, don't pass around because the kid might be walking. Fantastic. The thing that killed me was on a divided highway, why do both lanes have to stop? And then people on the other side are getting ticketed for it. It happened to my father at one point. But yeah, I mean, it's just it's another thing where all of these are generally, if the government is either leasing out cameras or putting cameras anywhere, it's mass surveillance. That's the other part of it too.
Yeah.
So you hit on the mass surveillance thing. You hit on the fact that it is quite literally unconstitutional. And that's where we're gathering a lot of our support from, are the people who want strict constitutionalists, want strict conservatives, want more liberty-minded legislation. Those are the people who are really, really gung-ho about this. So it's really nice to see at least the culture out here isn't what our politicians make it out to be, which is war hawk, neocon, welfare ridden, all of that sort of stuff, and crime and all that. But it's nice to see what the people actually think out here, and sort of what I've already known this whole time.
Yeah, the mass surveillance is a crazy thing when you actually start to think about it. I'm gonna like out myself here as a delinquent when I was younger, but it really kind of clicked with me when I was younger, like 16, 17, 18, especially when I like first moved to New York City. I was very broke and at one point in time homeless, and I would shoplift every once in a while to like, grab like a Cliff Bar or something like that for lunch or breakfast or something like that. There was some dark times in early adulthood, David. But that was really what kind of like made it click with me, was that the paranoia would always like expound, and you would think, even though I worked in retail and knew that none of this scenario would ever actually happen, in my head it was like, even if they saw me on the cameras an hour or two later, somebody goes through the cameras that night, whatever, there is clear video of me going everywhere from there. Like there's no way that they can then like follow me on camera to another place where I actually do swipe my card, and then boom, they've got my name, and now they know exactly who, whatever. Or they can, if I'm out of the city and driving, they can follow the cameras out into the parking lot and see the license plate number and figure out who I. And it was just like, even if I don't get caught in the moment, I could still really be fucked, because they know where I live. Like they could follow me on a camera all the way to the subway station, figure out where I got off the subway in Brooklyn, and all the way to my apartment, figure out exactly where I live, send the cops there if they wanted to. Obviously, CVS is not doing that for Cliff Bars getting shoplifted from their stores, but stoned 17-year-old David was very scared of that. And yeah, it's an insane situation that we have, especially here in New York, and especially in the city. And I know Long Island is, and like Westchester counties, the outer kind of suburbs of New York City are almost just as bad as the city itself with this.
Yeah, well, it's funny you say that whole thing about them being able to track you down, because that's what it always starts off as something good and then gets used for evil. That's what I feel like every invention throughout time has been started off with something that had a good intention. This is going to help people's lives. This is going to improve our society in some sort of way. And then people find out how to mess with it. And, inevitably it becomes something that is detrimental to society or whatever. But really, like, what you got to look at is the whole how they're able to just track you. And when they start, let's take the red light cameras, for example. They put those in, they say, okay, these are only for giving out tickets to red light violators, right? People who are making rights on red illegal. If they're going to do that, fine. People say, okay, it's going to make the roads safer. It's going to be fine. But what you don't know and what you don't hear is 2 years later that the county legislator, who gets their news about the county legislator, is voting on some sort of bill that's going to, allow them to use the red light cameras for many other purposes. It's going to be the same thing with the school bus cameras. They're going to be able to track you while you're on the road. They're able to track you from above, from putting cameras on highways, and now they're going to be putting them on vehicles to track you even more. So it's a constant encroachment into watching what everybody's doing. They want to put cameras in your house. Is at the end of the day, that's what they want to do, but they know they can't.
Been
so
there, done
there's
that
gonna
already.
inch their way to it.
Patriot Act, baby. But yeah, I mean, Patriot Act, I think is the exact thing to say next. Is like, yeah, whenever they're like, oh, we're gonna do this thing to get the bad guys, soon enough you are the bad guy, and there is no exception to that. And I think what you said about like every invention basically getting used for evil, I think is an unfortunate, like really, really strong truth. Like even if we go all the way back to like the discovery of fire as the human race, like is something that's like we wouldn't be what we are without it, right? We wouldn't have been able to figure out electricity. We wouldn't have been able to like keep warm. Like so many things happened in the human race because we discovered fire, and then we turned it into bombs and flaming arrows and like like we very, very quickly figured out how to, well, fire good for me but fire bad for other village. Like like that was
hey, we invented wheels and then put them on tanks, so I mean
exactly. Like every time and you know what, I will hazard a bet that even though there weren't like official quote unquote governments per se around when the discovery of fire happened, I would put a decent amount of money on some like historical journey to figure this out. I bet it was a leader of the tribe, like the head honcho person, the closest thing they had to government at the time, that went, ooh, fire bad for other village. Like it wasn't the grunts, it wasn't the farmers, it wasn't the hunter-gatherers, it was the dude sitting back at the village fucking everybody's wife trying to figure out how he could become more powerful. That's the person that turned that invention evil, and that's the same person that's done it every time since then. Somebody discovered nuclear energy, a government official figured out how to make it into a bomb.
Yep, exactly. No, and that's the thing too, is like, all of these, at the end of the day, all of these inventions that have good behind them become evil, but then are taken by the government and then used to incarcerate the masses. That's it's just cameras. Cameras came out and they were this thing of, oh, new technology, we can capture things in real time, and the government said, oh, great, we're going to use that to prosecute people. So at the end of the day, it's always going to end up in the hands of the government too. Same thing with rockets and everything. Even anything the government wants to get their hands on, they're going to go.
Yeah, and even cameras, it did not take long for that one to happen. Like they were still like really old school, like difficult to use, like film cameras in the 1800s being used for security purposes. They were like taking pictures of like peace marches in the early 70s and even like peace marches during the Civil War were getting photographed so that people could be prosecuted for being a part of this like unpatriotic anti-government organization. And that was back when like you kind of had to stand still for a little bit to even get a clear picture. They were still trying to use that shit for these same purposes. Like it's so quick every
and
fucking
think about
time.
Now what just happened. The whole January 6th thing where they pinged everybody's phones that were in DC.
Yeah, dude, I still have some friends that were there that I'm like, how much longer until I get that text that's like, hey, so and so's in jail now?
Oh god, yeah. Now there's Are they still going after those people?
I feel like everyone that hasn't gotten arrested yet is probably in the clear. But fuck, I mean, I won't call any of them friends. They're all acquaintances. Most of them I would consider enemies, but I have multiple people who have my phone number who are currently sitting in federal prison for being at January 6th. There's,
Really?
I want to say at least 4 or 5 people that I know of that are still fucked.
Yeah, just wait until they go through all their phones and see your name in there. So,
Right. I mean, dude, okay, I went on like a second or third date with this girl like a while ago. This was probably like two years ago now almost. And she wanted to like she had this ridiculous idea that we should just tell each other all of like the possible deal breakers that might come up further down the road so that we can just save the time. Either like say that's fine, I'm still happy with going through with this, or just like fuck off, nope, not worth my time, you're insane. Seemed like a good idea at the time.
that seems like it could go really well or really horrible.
I mean, what it ended up doing is we just lied to each other about being okay with a bunch of things, and then those things still ended up, like a lot of the things brought up in that conversation were part of the arguments that ended the relationship a year later. But on both sides, like we're both guilty of doing the exact same thing on that. But I straight up told her, I was like, there is a 95% chance that I'm on at least one, if not more than one, federal law enforcement agency watch list. Like almost guaranteed. Well, like I said, we both basically just lied to ourselves the entire time. And so she was obviously concerned and made me explain it. And, I said, because of what I do and the friends that I have and, working with Spike and working with a couple of other people that are, definitely on watch lists. Like it's almost for sure. And I guess I kind of like walked it. I kind of explained it nicely and made it seem not that dangerous, not that crazy in the moment. Cause I don't know. I still liked her. I didn't want her to like hear any of these deal breakers and leave. So I think that was probably the other problem with the conversation is that we still like pulled our punches a little bit and we were honest, but like really sugar-coated everything that we brought up.
Yeah.
Didn't work.
I think that would be a good addition to add to Tinder and Hinge and all those dating apps because you can put like, oh, I'm an outdoors person, or I like pets. You can do like, I may or may not be on a government watch list, and just see.
Dude, that would be an instant swipe right on every person that checked that box. Fuck yeah. Dude, I matched with this girl the other day, or not the other day. This was months ago. But her entire bio was hit me up if you're down to go thrifting, talk about capitalism, and complain about the government. And I was like, fuck yes. Yeah. I was like, perfect. Yeah, like straight up anarcho-capitalist, but like not in a cringy way, and still the kind of frou-frou hippie stoner way. I was like, damn, this is a crossover you don't see often. And in New York.
And in Colorado. Oh shit.
Yeah, I mean in Colorado you can find people like that, not in New York.
Yeah. No, New York is a hellscape of I shouldn't say it. You're
That's why I can't believe you moved back from Austin.
Wait, what was that?
So that's why I can't believe you moved back from Austin.
Dude, Austin was a weird place. I mean, when they say keep Austin weird, they don't got to worry. It's weird. You got dudes with, cowboy boots and everything, like just rural meets completely urban, pink and yellow hair, and it just all comes together, and you're like, what the hell is happening here? And then they're fighting the cops. They hate the cops. And I was like, yeah, that's a conservative and a very liberal issue. They hate the cops. So, I mean, yeah, I can understand it. I can understand why it is the way it is. But God, I love flying around on those highways. No cops.
Dude, yeah. Driving in Texas is fucking insane.
I love seeing the roads that are like 85 posted speed limit, or they just say, drive safe.
Yeah, it's like Germany with the rules in Texas. And the thing is, nobody in Texas understands lanes, like the purpose of the lanes. Like, it's one of the things I absolutely love about New York. I love New York drivers, even most of the state, but especially downstate drivers. They're all, for the most part, like really conscious, competent drivers, and they know what the lanes are for, and they keep right, and they pass people, and they whiz around people, and they drive like maniacs, and they're really aggressive, but they're aggressive with skill, and I like that. Texas is the exact opposite. Like 85% of the population can't drive for shit, drives at the exact speed limit in whatever lane they want, and then the other 15% drive like New Yorkers and whiz through it. And it's insane.
Yep. I was the New Yorker whizzing through it, and they also do that thing where even if they're not going speed limit, even if they're going a little above, they do that thing where they go in the same speed in two different lanes, and you're just sitting behind the guy in the left lane, like, all right, sometime today, please. That would be great.
Yeah. But luckily, it's like 4 lanes in each direction on most highways, and even if there's 2 or 3 assholes, there's usually at least 1 free lane.
Yeah.
But I saw more accidents in Texas than I think I've ever seen anywhere else. Like
that and
daily.
broken down cars. Those are the two that you see. Like a lot. One thing I saw in Austin that was very weird. I never understood how like the traffic worked there with the hills and everything. But I guess people just are going fast over a hill, stop too short, and then they'll like veer off into the shoulder. But it was like a daily occurrence. I would see this where people are just veering off, and I'm like, do you not know how to drive, or is there a problem? Does somebody need to help you out a little bit? I don't know. It's very weird.
Dude, driving so if I had to get into downtown Austin, because I was staying like up north a little bit outside of the city, and driving like downtown during rush hour, I would avoid the highways, and so you would have to do the like through the hills route, the like 1 lane in each direction,
yeah,
where it goes from like 55 to 35 and back up and down and all over the place. And that for some reason seems to be like the most heavily policed road in all of Austin, and it's like, please go away. I remember one time I had a cop pull out behind me, and I was just like, I know I'm not going to be able to follow all of the laws driving this route, because like my car was not doing great at the time, and so I kind of needed to speed down the hills to make it back up the next hill. And like I was going like 15-20 over a lot of times if I had the clearance to do so, because my car just wouldn't make it up the next hill otherwise. And I'm like, I can't do this with a cop behind me. And so I like took a turn, and he followed me, and then followed me the next turn, and then the next turn, and I'm like, I eventually like pulled into a housing development, like a gated community, and then pretended like I was getting out to like could go like punch the like code box to let myself into this gated community, and he just like kept going. I was just like, leave me alone. I can't make this drive with this much pressure.
Oh my god. You know what is one place though with the worst drivers I think that I've ever seen is Florida.
New Jersey?
Florida definitely. But
because Florida is mostly people that learned how to drive in New Jersey and then got old and senile and even worse, and then moved to Florida.
Or here, they even grew up, like a lot of people from Long Island, New York, moved down to Florida, but just this area, and then putting them in what I like to call sun drunken retard land. It's not a good mix. You get a headstrong, egotistical Northeasterner, and you put them in somewhere where it's just drinks and sun, and then you expect them to get behind a wheel? Are you kidding me? They have the anger of a New Yorker with the stupidity of a Floridian, and it's like, I lived with one.
Man, yeah, I was glad when we were down in Florida this last time. Tom was driving most of the time. Well, glad is a strong word because he's psychotic. It's funny. I had a friend of mine who's coming to New York, and then I won't name this name, but and I don't know. I don't think Tom is gonna watch this, so I can shit talk him. I had somebody who's coming to New York City in a couple of weeks to do some activist work. Was like, can you come down and drive instead of Tom, please? He scares me.
Yeah, I'm usually the scary driver too, so
yeah. Well,
I get that.
You get used to it after driving in the city. See, where I took my car off the road for the 5 years that I lived in New York City, so I'm not a New York City driver. I'm a New York State driver. I learned how to drive upstate, and so I'm used to like country roads and big highways, and I can do New York City driving because I got a car again before I moved out. But I didn't learn how to drive on Long Island or in the city or even downstate at all, and have driven down there very little. So I'm not quite a New York driver, which is why I normally let Tom drive, because he knows what he's doing, and yeah, it's just easier that way.
Yeah, that's one thing that I would always tell people. Like, when I was hanging out with everybody down in Austin, when we would go into like the actual city portion, I would always be the one that's driving because I know how to parallel park on the first try. I know how to like cut those sharp turns. Like you got those one-way streets, and you gotta cut it right so that and I have the truck too, so you got to make sure that like the tail end doesn't hit the one car while the front end's in the other. It's a whole process.
Mm-hmm.
I know how to do it. So, I mean, I'm very confident in my driving skills, which is another reason why I completely abhor road laws. Because I just feel that I'm able to govern myself. I feel like I'm doing a pretty good job, and if all these other people would just do the same thing, then. But there's the egotistical New Yorker for you. So
valid. Yeah, I've said a few times. I think all driving laws could just be reckless driving, like everything which is already illegal, right? Like that, there's already laws in every state against reckless driving. You can get pulled over and charged with that at any point in time. We don't need all the other shit, because if I'm reckless driving, pull me over for reckless driving. If I'm not reckless driving, but I'm speeding or under the influence or something else, fuck off. I'm not driving recklessly. So what do you want from me? If I'm able to pound 17 beers or 12 shots and then still get behind the wheel of a car competently, and you can't tell the difference following me, then that's on you, buddy. Like,
David, I think that's kind of how it already works, because if you're driving and then you're sort of going off into the side a little bit, that's an indication for them to get you on over. But if you're going straight and speed limit and doing fine, hopefully they'll leave you alone. I don't know. Sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, I've never.
Depends what type of car you're driving.
I don't drink and drive anymore. But that's something that I've never gotten caught doing. I do smoke. But
what I will say, the one thing that I can say is getting rid of drinking and driving laws is not going to be Save Long Island's number one issue. I'm just going to put that out there.
I thought you said you were a no compromise organization, Angelo. Come on, man.
We have to listen to the people, what the people want. It's their island too.
Fuck the people. No, I mean, I definitely respect that. I know that's one of the things that I love about what I do, and why I work with You Are the Power, but that's about it as far as like actual organizations, and they're kind of they're set up in a really nice way where they're not going to get held accountable for anything that I say, and vice versa. They have a decentralized structure enough, so I get to say dumb shit like we should get rid of drunk driving laws, and it doesn't actually hurt anybody, and it gets to amuse the following, and get people to think of like, well, why is that actually, because I do firmly believe that it's a stupid law, but I understand why people disagree with me. But it's fun to get people thinking about like, well, hey, maybe that is actually kind of a stupid law.
That's really at the end of the day what you want to get them to at least start at is think about why is this law a law?
Mm-hmm.
Just think about why. And then as long as they're thinking about that, they can come up with their own conclusions, they can research it, they can do whatever, but at least they're thinking about it. And then from there, then they can start to change their mind because we obviously have the right philosophy. That's why we're here. That's why we do what we do and why we're gonna inevitably win everything. And we're gonna save Long Island, do all that. But you know, it's just at least a step in the right direction. That's what I'm looking for. As long as we can get a step in the right direction, because at this point, they're only coming out with more taxes, more ways to spend our money, just more ways to completely abolish all of our rights. We need to at least get the ball start rolling in the other direction. I mean, at this point, we're completely screwed.
Yeah, or at least stop it from rolling in the opposite direction for a little while.
Yeah, something.
Have people understand that like maybe a law isn't the answer to whatever problem they're trying to address. But I feel like almost every activist, especially in the liberty movement, they're, even if it's subconsciously, they're trying to recreate their own like liberty awakening. You know, like if you came in through like Gary Johnson or something like that, most likely you're more of a prag and about elections. And if you came in through Ron Paul, you're about like economic stuff. And if you came through Dave Smith, you're about like the podcasting world and the comedy world. And you know, like everybody kind of tends to stick in the lane that they came into in some way, shape, or form. And I think for me, like I started down the path of libertarian philosophy at a fairly young age by just having that realization that illegal and immoral should be two different things. And at the moment, it's not considered two different things. And the way my mom talks about stuff, it's not two different things. And I think that's dumb. Like me at 12 was like, that seems like a logical fallacy to me. And I don't like that. And that's where it started was, you know, 12, 13-year-old me arguing with like my Sunday school teacher about whether or not prostitution should be legal. Because I'm like it's wrong. It's horrible. No one should do it. But like if I almost, without having heard the quote yet, was quoting George Carlin. And like, if you can fuck and you can sell things, why can't you sell fucking? Like, it just doesn't make sense. And so like, yeah, like 12-year-old me was having those kinds of realizations. And so I feel like that's what I'm doing a lot of times to other people, is trying to just get them to have that click of like, just because I think it's wrong doesn't mean it should be illegal. And the problem is most people understand that on one or two issues, but then there's another issue that they're like, okay, but not that one, right? Like you can get like a nice, good constitutional conservative who's like, you know, even on you know, drugs should be a personal choice and guns is a personal choice. And you shouldn't hold people responsible, like bad gun owners responsible, or you shouldn't hold good gun owners responsible for bad gun owners and stuff like that. But then you bring up like transgenderism and then they're like, ban it. And it's like, but no. And then on the other side, you know, you'll get them good on every single like civil liberties issue. And then you say something about like, well, you know, maybe we should let people pay what they want to pay and get rid of minimum wage. And then, you know, because like, no, that has to be mandated.
Minimum wage is a both side issue now. Both of them are completely pro minimum wage. That's the establishment uniparty position, that we need a minimum wage and it should be increased to 20, 25, 50, 75, $100,000 an hour. I don't know. I just keep looking at Nina Turner stuff on that. It's insane.
$6 million minimum wage, or you're anti-Semitic.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, come on. And like, when does the insanity stop is really the thing. Because you can say that whole thing about it can tie to anything. If you're talking about the minimum wage, it's just going to keep going up. What, $100 an hour eventually? What are we aiming for? And then, you know, how bad is that going to tank all of these businesses and make AI take everything over? But even the mass surveillance, just boom. Any sphere that you go into, it's just complete and utter, just building up and continuing. I don't know. It's weird.
So I know I just made a joke about it, but I want to go back and have you explain what do you mean by you're a non-compromising or a compromise-free organization?
Yeah. So basically, let's take the red light cameras, for example. We want them gone. There is absolutely no justification under the Constitution, under any sort of law that, we should have these things and that they're actually there for good purposes. So we want them gone. Ban, remove, disabled, all of it. Now, what the legislature just did within the past, I think it was a couple of years or so, was remove the $30 administrative fee that comes along with the red light camera ticket. So there was a ticket, and then the like $150 or whatever. I think that was Nassau. I think it's like 80 in Suffolk, but still, you get the ticket, and then you get $30 administrative fee. Republicans came in. We had a massive red wave on Long Island 2021. Yay, great stuff. And they said no more $30 administrative fee. It's like, okay, I still got to pay the ticket, asshole. So yeah, they're compromising on those issues and saying, well, we're lessening the size of government because we're getting rid of the administrative fee. Get rid of the special sales tax. Get rid of all countywide taxes, for that matter. Like, that's the other thing too, is like just finding ways that we're able to effectively just get rid of all taxes within the countywide level. Opting in for cannabis sales. This is something that should be allowed on Long Island, not forcing people out to the city or giving the revenue to shitty New Jersey. I don't want them buying their stuff there. If they can build it here, if we can, and you still have to be 21. That's the other thing too. It's a state law. It's a federal. I think no, it's not federal law for marijuana.
State law.
But
yeah,
state law for cannabis, not something that the county can control. You need to be 21. Stop saying we need to protect the kids. Don't go. The kids can't go into the pot shop. And actually, your honor student from Comac High School is strung out on heroin right now on the side of Babylon Road. So let's just be honest about what's going on out here.
Yeah, the save the kids argument with cannabis has always been there was a time where it was my least favorite thing to hear from people, but now because I've taken, I like to think I've maybe matured a little bit as a person. It's one of my favorites because I'm very, very good at overturning people. And when I was running for New York City Council, we still hadn't legalized in New York. This was 2019. And I was, it was on every single handout that I had, said something about, re-legalize cannabis. I always use the ragcock or the radcock stuff with the re-legalize because I like that. And, I had probably one of my favorite interactions my entire campaign. I had this 60-something-year-old black woman from Flatbush, Brooklyn, sweet grandma, absolutely wonderful conversation with her, but she said she couldn't vote for me because of the cannabis, and I also had decriminalized sex work on my stuff, and I very quickly overturned her on the sex work stuff of just how, the best way to protect actual human trafficking victims is to make it to where only, there's a way to know, whether you agree with the market or not, nobody's like, if you have an option between consensual and non-consensual, almost everybody is going with the good one. Almost everybody, like most people are good people. And it actually like allows victims to come forward and, stops them from being prosecuted. I got that one really quickly. But she really like was harping me on the cannabis thing. And like, I don't want my like 12-year-old grandson to be able to get weed. And I looked her dead in the eyes and I was like, I want you to go home today, ask your grandson. This might be an awkward conversation. He might not want to answer you, but I want you to ask him point blank, which is easier for him to get his hands on, alcohol or weed? Because I know his answer. He lives in Brooklyn. Even if he's a great kid, I know for a fact there is someone that he knows that can sell him weed. There's nobody that can sell him alcohol. And you know, he might have a friend that'll go into the liquor store, but that's heavily illegal, and we live in a city where they're actually cracking down on that pretty well. He can't get his hand at 12. You're not getting somebody to go into a liquor store for you, but you can get weed. And I saw her again a couple weeks later, and she asked her grandson, and I was right. She straight up told her, yes, I know people that sell weed in my school, in my grade. And she was dumbfounded by that. And she's like, yeah, no, we need to get this out of the schools and into a, like, behind locked doors, and you know, very authoritarian take, in all honesty, but like, hey, it was the one I needed in the moment. So I was
got her thinking about the issue. That's how we start these things off. Just think about the laws, think about how they're affecting people. And yeah, I mean, it just goes to show too, because like, yeah. Like, I also don't think that, you know, if somebody were walking into a dispensary or versus an alcohol store, in either scenario, a 12-year-old walked up and said, hey, can you get me something? I don't think either of them would. Which is sort of to your point, because, you know, the people on the street don't really care. They just want to get their money. They want to continue to run their business. And some of them have morals, but let's be honest, if we're working in quote unquote dirty business, a lot of people in those businesses don't have high morals, so they wouldn't be against selling that to them. So you're completely right.
Yeah, and especially because like I said, even with that kid, you know, another 12-year-old obviously isn't going to have any morals against selling weed to another 12-year-old. Like, if I'm smoking it, you can smoke it. Like, there's like, why would this be wrong? And like, I have plenty of friends that started smoking at 12 and they turned out, I guess, kind of sort of all right. And like, you know, it's not the end of the world per se, but it's like, yeah, to your point, I've never even seen somebody try to like stand outside of a dispensary and be like, hey, can you get me an eighth?
Yeah, no.
I have been asked that outside of liquor stores, especially in Brooklyn where I lived.
But also, what's the difference? Where's the security guard? There's no security guard for liquor stores. There's a security guard usually sitting outside or something,
right.
Or at least cameras close around the place where they'll see the kid asking.
Mm-hmm.
Those nasty darn cameras.
Exactly. Man, the mass surveillance state is real. Yeah, I think it's ridiculous that in New York we still, this is completely off topic, but we're talking about weed now, and we're going to stay on that because it's like my favorite thing. As I roll another joint. I find it so ridiculous that even now we're almost 3.5 years, almost 4 years of it being legal in the state of New York, and there's like 12.5 dispensaries in the state. There are still, I want to say, 40 something dry counties out of the 52. What the fuck?
Yeah.
Do you have any on Long Island?
Nope. I'm not 100% sure about Queens, but I think it would, because it was being encompassed in New York City. So New York City, it is legalized. Sorry, a little bit heartburn. But Nassau County, Suffolk County opted out of it. We can still opt in, but it has to be done through county resolution. So it's sort of in a gray area, because we do have in Suffolk the Poospatuck Reservation. It's a Indian reservation on the South Shore, and there they actually, I mean, I've driven through there before. It is just all pot shops. It's like all smoke shops / pot shop hybrids. And there's, I'd say, good 30 of them in that area, maybe more. So, and one thing that I've heard too is that they do not charge the like taxes or anything on that, obviously, because it's an Indian reservation, but also you can use your credit card because it's not sanctioned by whatever banks or the federal government or anything like that. So,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it sounds like a better deal to me than being able to, or having to go out and spend 30-40% tax, whatever the hell it is here.
Oh yeah.
What even is it?
I think New York settled at 35. It's either 30 or 35. It's not the highest. We're still, I think, like the fourth or fifth highest state for that number. There are a couple states that are even crazier. But yeah, what I absolutely fucking love about New York right now, our legal cannabis market is dog shit, right? Our illegal cannabis market is fucking fantastic right now. Like the gray market is my favorite state to buy weed in right now is New York, because we have outside of the reservations, there's like these like meetups and basically like a weed farmers markets going on all over the place, especially in like the semi bigger cities, like Syracuse and Albany. I've gone to a few where it's just like this warehouse building or something like that, or like an old office building that's just been gutted and is just like a farmer's market full of weed. And then the Indian reservations, that's where I was buying my weed consistently for almost all of this year and most of last year, because I kept having to drive through Western New York, and we're talking like $50-$75 ounces. And yeah, obviously no tax, no fees, no anything like that on top of it. Some of them, the ones out west, I don't know any of them that will let you use a credit card. So that's cool that they've figured that out down on Long Island. But
I think that's only because, and don't quote me on this, but it's something with the Puspatuck Reservation that's different from a lot of other reservations is it's not a federally recognized one. It's actually sanctioned by the state. So I don't know if that would hurt them or really help them in that case, but they aren't federally recognized by the Federal Bureau of Indian Tribes or something like that. So that could have something to do with it. I don't know.
That would make sense. I know, like a lot of the places I go on the Seneca Reservation out west are like were always cash only, even when they were just smoke shops, they were cash only. And I think
really,
I don't think that has anything to do with legality. I think it just has to do with they're based motherfuckers out there, and don't trust the cards and the plastic, and cash is king.
Microchips.
Yeah. There are plenty of businesses that, especially in New York City, I used to always carry cash, because if there was like a cash only pizza shop, I would like go there. Like if I would seek out those signs, especially in New York City, because I'm like, those motherfuckers make good pizza. I know they do. I just or like the smoke shop. It's like the cash only smoke shop. That's the one that's gonna have the real shit behind the counter. Like
well, they're not. Their books are kept just the way they need to keep them, so they'll they'll get away with it.
Man, so I gotta ask. You were saying earlier that Albany is a shit show. New York's kind of a shit show. I know Long Island is not the same as most of the rest of the state, but how successful do you think you're going to be off the bat trying to get Liberty sold in New York State?
So that's why we're starting off with the red light camera issue. Something that's widely accepted down here, something that a lot of people would not only be willing to donate some time, volunteer for, but also give funds to, because that's at the end of the day what we're trying to do, grow into an organization that is going to be completely grassroots funded, that's going to be able to hold politicians accountable, educate the public on the ideals of liberty and stuff like that. But that's where I think that we're going to strike our match, is with this. We're in sort of a soft launch period right now, just because it is before the November elections. So once these elections come and go, we're going to have a better idea of which legislators we're dealing with. So back in, I think it was August 14th to be exact, I think it was, one of the legislators, I believe it was from District 5, resigned. Kara, I'm forgetting her last name, but she's gone now, so she don't matter. She resigned, I thought, but yeah, so we're sort of waiting for the elections to play out, just because we are obviously only started a month ago. For these to play out, see who's going to be in there, see who we're going to target, try to get some public statements, public announcements from these people on certain issues so that we can use that to hold them accountable. Just a couple different ways that we're trying to look at actually going after who we're supposed to go after, and then what issues we want to take on, because that's the other thing too. While we're running the red light camera issue, understanding that it's something not something with the most liberty at stake, but it does have a lot of liberty at stake with it, especially continuing to prolong this issue and let it go another 5, 10, 20 years before it eventually gets banned. But yeah, so that's why we're starting with this, but we're going to take on more issues. We're going to actually poll people, figure out what people on Long Island care about. I know that property tax should be another one that they do care about quite significantly, and school board, stuff like that. But we also want to have the ability to go off and train people, because obviously we're going to be focused a lot on the county-wide issues, that we want people to focus on townships, that we want people to focus on villages and stuff like that. So training other people to be able to sort of replicate this, or even start like township chapters of Save Long Island, would be an amazing thing. So that's sort of where I'm looking for expansion. And I think that striking the match here with the red light camera issue is going to cause a pretty big spark. So
yeah, I like just actually before I respond directly to what you say, just a little reminder to everyone watching. There are elections this year. There's a whole bunch of people that are going to get elected before the presidential election happens. So many people. And in most cases, it's the most important people. The people who affect your life the most are most likely the ones up for election this year. And so stop giving a fuck about whatever drama is going on around the presidential race, no matter what party you think you're in. Pay attention to what election is happening this year. Like, there's like my county judge is up for election. This might like directly affect my life if I ever get arrested in town again. Like, hopefully I don't, but that's the dude that's gonna decide whether or not I'm fucked. And he was the dude that decided I should get fucked years ago when I was dumber. So go pay attention to what's going on in your town, and that's all this year most of the time. Maybe it was 2 years ago, but it's almost always the odd elections when no one's paying attention, when they slip in all these terrible fucking idiots on a school board or a sheriff's department or something like that. It's all on the years that no one's paying attention. So don't fall for that this year. But to your thing about especially like the red light cameras and then property taxes, I like those two issues at the same time, or like quickly one after the other, because if you started off with property taxes, you could very easily get labeled as just like one of those shitty like rich people Republican organizations, right? Where red light cameras, you can, I mean, it hurts everyone, but you can really frame it as going after the lower socioeconomic status people, as, you know, a $200 ticket isn't going to hurt those rich people who have the big property tax bills that much. Yeah. But it might be the entirety of somebody's paycheck this week that they were on their way. They were speeding to the grocery store to get there before it closed to buy groceries with that $200, you know? And then
people who don't have the money to pay it, don't pay it, and or forget about it. And then now you're a criminal because you didn't pay your ticket.
Yeah. Now you have warrants out and shit.
Get arrested. It does truly affect the people at the bottom so much more. It's a fine, and fine is a a pay to do a crime or something like that. What's the saying? But like you're basically paying to do a crime. People at the bottom can't pay, and when you're criminalizing behavior such as stopping for 2 seconds instead of 3 seconds at a red light or at a red light, you're only hurting those people more. $150 in Nassau County, that's somebody's groceries. That's a tenth of their rent. That's money that is just straight out of their pocket that they need. And especially in today's economy, we need every dollar that we can retain. So, and the thing is too, if we took them away, people are going to worry about, oh, well, then every street corner is going to become deadly. And I don't know about you, but I don't want to get hit. I'm going to look before I turn. I'm going to stop, I'm going to look, and then I'm going to turn. As long as it's safe, we're good.
Yeah.
It's a very common sense thing. And, it's a lot of these people that just live in fear of their lives. And unfortunately, they can't lock themselves in their house anymore because of COVID. So.
Man, wasn't it a better time when all of those people were, bro? I had like good close friends of mine that I would like hop on a Zoom call and they would say, I haven't left my house in 13 days.
That's insane. That's absolutely insane. I mean, I stayed in a couple days because I didn't have a job anymore.
Right, I had nothing to do. Right.
Yeah,
that's different.
I was bored. I don't want to play Scrabble with my family. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?
It's funny because I actually played Scrabble with my family during the lockdown. We got that board out for the first time in like 12 years.
Some things people want to do. Some things.
Oh no, I didn't. I didn't either. It was awful. My mom and dad are both like grammar nerds. I mean, the whole family is basically. So like, I'm usually pretty good at Scrabble, but against my parents, there's really no hope for me. Like, my dad is literally the kind of person that reads an encyclopedia for fun. And like, he's not a boring person. He's just like, we call him the encyclopedia of useless information because he just retains shit really well. And so, and for, I don't know why, he was just like really big into vocabulary and grammar and English as a kid. He was almost an English major. And so,
like, you're building a shelf and he's like, that shelf was made in 1936 in Germany.
Yes. My grandma loves to call me Volume 2, which is because I used to do a lot of the same shit, especially like history facts. I would just I'd retain the shit out of them because why not? And also because I found it, like, especially, like 10-year-old me was like, ooh, I'm Volume 2. That's cool. Like, I want to be like Dad. Like, and then I smoked too much weed, and now the retention isn't quite there. But
yeah, my retention is a good like couple days. Like, I'll be gung-ho about this issue, I'll remember everything about it, and then you ask me like 6 months down the road and I'm like, I don't even remember talking about that. I don't know, it doesn't ring a bell.
Dude, sure. You messaged me today. You responded to like a really old message. I still, it's like 7 hours later, I still have no idea why I was asking you about New York State chairs or New York chapters. Like, there was a reason. There was a project I was trying to do back in July, I guess. I don't remember what it was.
I guess
I guarantee I was asking on behalf of someone else because I haven't been doing much of my own kind of random projects. So it was definitely somebody who was like, hey, do you know anybody in Yale? And I messaged you first.
Makes sense.
Fucking, I don't know. Man, well, tell people how they can get involved, what you're looking for as far as donors, volunteers, keyboard warriors. What do you need? How can people find you?
So go to @Save Long Island on Instagram and on X or Twitter for people who haven't been updated. And then we also have savelongisland.org that you can go to if you're looking to donate. You can actually go to savelongisland.org/join. That's going to take you to our join page. Right now, we are obviously just a month after getting incorporated. So we're still setting up the bank accounts and everything to do with that. That's why it's sort of perfect timing with the elections coming up. So we have perfect time to get all of this all squared away. But if you are looking to donate or would like to donate $5, $1, 20 cents, whatever you can, go to that join page. There will be an option on there to select if you would like to donate, and then either myself or somebody from the team will get in contact with you, and we'll be able to make that happen as soon as the bank accounts are up. But yeah, the join page also, if you're looking to help volunteer, want to help with phone banking, this can also we can accept volunteers from really anywhere. If you're on Long Island, that would be great. We need some boots on the ground, but if you are from surrounding areas, we could use your help as well, whether monetarily, volunteer wise, or anything. So just savelongisland.org or at savelongisland_ on Instagram or X.
Okay. I literally just now realized that I guess I could or should like update the little logo on the bottom of the screen because I have like our Twitter handles.
Oh, yeah.
I refuse to use the word X, but I do like the logo more.
It's a nice logo.
It's a nice logo. So yeah, maybe I should replace those. I wonder if Canva even has the new like logo already in it, like it does for all the old shit. I'm sure it does.
Might.
It had
it
Rumble, which honestly I was surprised. I searched
I
Rumble,
saw that. Yeah.
and a bunch of other random shit came up when I searched Rumble in like the Canva images. Almost everything was like wrestling related or something else like super dumb. But then like right there in like the second row was the actual Rumble logo, and I was like, yes.
Actually, one thing funny about X, now we're talking about it, it happened right before the show, and I don't know if you saw a bit about me posting on a social media on Snapchat and stuff, but I had a very honorable, talented, conservative fighter follow me on Twitter, but no other than the one and only George Santos.
Holy shit. Nice. Wonderful,
man. Honestly, then I don't know if you're looking to end it right here. I'm good if you want it.
No,
but
keep going.
The funny thing is, I'm actually agreeing with him a lot more than my own congressman or the other two from Long Island, Garbarino, Lalota, and D'Esposito, because they keep trying to vote with this whole speaker thing going on right now. They keep trying to vote for Lee Zeldin, and they're the only three that are voting for Lee Zeldin. And Lee Zeldin has absolutely no shot. And they wanted to bitch and complain and moan about how the far-right radical extremists on the Republican side were, holding back operations of the House. What are you doing? Holding back operations of the House? Now, granted, lock it down, shut it down forever. I don't care. The military's still getting paid for the next, I don't know, 28 days or something like that. Like, just shut it down for the next month or so. I don't got to worry about my rights getting infringed upon. Oh, no. I mean,
yeah.
But Santos voted for Jim Jordan. So, end of the day, he's a hero.
I find it interesting because I've seen the numbers and yeah, there's always 3 votes going to Zeldin. Isn't Zeldin in the House?
No, Lalota took over Zeldin's seat. He was near District 1.
Okay.
Lalota technically
I was gonna say,
doesn't
is
even
Zeldin
live.
not voting for himself while there's 3 other dipshits voting for him?
Scalise voted for Jordan finally. He said, "I'm out of the race. I'm supporting Speaker Jordan," and former or future Speaker Jordan. And then there's some asshole, I don't know who it was like, "Oh, I'm voting for Scalise because he's he's not even running. He's not even voting for himself. Why are?"
I love it. Honestly, like I could watch this shit all day. I've just been like on the Twitter, because like hashtag like Speaker of the House has been trending like for like 4 or 5 days now, right? So it's always like in that little thing. I just click onto that and scroll for like an hour a day at least and just have fucking fun. It's
Wouldn't it
so
be great though if the Republicans met behind closed doors one day, their conference, and they just said, "Listen, we gotta get the new speaker in. Let's," and Massey and whoever else that's somewhat liberty-minded came forward and said, "Now we're going to shut this down." Libertarians, the populists got together. They said, "No, we're done." And they just said, "We're just going to keep fighting, and other people vote for other people, and we're just never going to get the right amount of votes, and we're just going to have to go in circles and effectively just shut it down." That would be fantastic. I don't think that's what happened.
I mean, because the thing is, like, the Dems still control the Senate, right? I'm not making that up.
Yeah, no,
okay.
they control.
Yeah. So nothing good's gonna actually make it to Biden's desk, even if he was gonna sign it. So why bother?
Yeah.
Like it's the most effective thing they could do as a party right now is shut the shit down, make sure nothing passes.
Complete and utter turmoil.
Yeah, it would be amazing. And the thing is, like, there's so many, like that like Marjorie Taylor Greene, Lauren Boebert beef that somehow is a thing now. Like there's so I'm
bet on Lauren Boebert's side. I just want to put it out there.
I mean, I'd like to be at her side at a showing of Beetlejuice, but like I bet if somebody made the right pitch to both Boebert and Green, they could get sold on playing that shit up in WWE and the fuck out of this, and just like one of them picks Jordan, one of them picks somebody else, and they just like, because I think at the moment they're agreed on Jordan, but like one of them could be convinced to branch off and take like Massey and Gates with them. Gates is like, nah, I was supporting Jordan, but nope, never mind. And just keep this shit going. And it would be so much fun. It would be great.
Just a round robin on the Republican side. And the Democrats are just sitting there with their 212 votes for Hakeem Jeffries and just saying, all right, well, we got to kick ourselves in the ass. We got to do better next time so this doesn't happen again. It's just insane. I'm glad to see it, though. I'm very, very happy to see it.
I'm genuinely surprised that we haven't just seen, what would it be, like 7 or 9 Democrats vote Jordan and just get it done and over with. That would be the logical move for just like a couple of no-name Democrats who, live in solid districts that aren't getting primaried next time around, most likely. I feel like it would be very easy for Democratic leadership to be like, we'll promise no primary. We'll shut down anybody that tries to challenge you in a primary because of this if you just vote Jordan and get this fucking
but it's the complete opposite, especially when it comes to Congress, congressional leadership of the parties. Like they're gonna say, you are voting for Hakeem Jeffries or we are coming after you in the primary. This is going to be the Republicans' problem. If the government shuts down and blah, 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 it's going to be all on the Republicans. You are not going to keep this open. This is their circus. You let them play in it. Mm-hmm. That's what they're going to say. And I mean, it's very logical too, because they get to just sit on their ass and collect the paycheck, and they can say it's completely the other side's fault. Why am I not just going to keep voting for Jeffries?
Yeah. Hakeem Jeffries is a wild choice too. I feel like there are other people that they could be putting up that
I feel like they're grooming him to be like the next Obama.
Yeah.
In a sense.
I would go, if I was looking for the next Obama, I would be looking at Warnock.
Yeah. No, you need a young guy. You need the young, spunky,
fair.
That's they're trying to replicate it, but I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. let's get into future politics here for a second. We got a little bit more time. What are you thinking about the presidential run? I'll preface this that like nothing you say from here on out affects or displays the views and opinions of Save Long Island.
Oh yeah, no.
So like
All of my
we're pivoting. Going on to your personal shit, just to save any possible backlash. Is there anybody?
Let me just preface that, like everything that I have said, all things George Santos and blah blah blah, like all of that is me. Like that is not Save Long Island. Save Long Island is very principled on lowering taxes, banning red light cameras, banning mass surveillance, all of that. We don't take stances on national politics, even mainly on state politics. It's really focused on the countywide level and the issues that are affecting those. All of my opinions are my opinions and nothing more. Because I can't control what happens with the presidential election or George Santos or anything like that. So, yeah, don't have to worry about that.
But, is there anybody currently running for president that you actually like what you're seeing?
Yes, there is one person by the name of Robert F. Kennedy Jr. I did like Vivek a little bit. I said if it was Vivek and RFK, Republican Democrat going up, I would vote for. I don't even know who I would vote for. I'd be okay with either one. At this point, though, after some more time has passed, I am a little less enthusiastic about Vivek.
Fair enough.
Yeah, his foreign policy stuff has really swayed me in the other direction. I heard him on, I think it was Dave Smith at one point, that made me really like him. But also, you got to think about it. He's tailoring his message to libertarian.
Good at what he does at pretending he's a libertarian. He's very good at that. He did a killer job on Malice's show too. That was the first thing that I watched of him, and I was like, this is fucking fantastic. But like until he said that like one of his top 3 things would be declaring a national like emergency to label transgenderism as a mental health illness, and like my problem with that stance is he's never actually said what that means.
Yeah.
Like, what are you trying to do with executive order power to fix this crisis?
Yeah,
if that's what you think it is, because like that sounds terrible. No matter what you think about transgenderism, a presidential executive order to fix it sounds awful.
Yeah, no, that's those are the reasons, part of the reasons why I'm not a fan of him and would much rather vote for RFK.
Yeah, I've said this privately. I'll say it publicly now, and I'll get roasted for it. I don't care. I don't like RFK. I don't necessarily like Tulsi Gabbard anymore. But if he picks her as the VP, I will join the campaign. Something about it, I don't know what it is. If they were running together, I would be a part of that. I still have enough respect for her, and I don't know. I think that would just be an awesome team, and I would be a part of that. If he picks literally anyone else, I will probably not.
Who are you thinking? Whoever the libertarian candidate's going to be?
Yeah, I mean, I will likely it. It depends on where I live in November of 2024, to be perfectly honest with you. Whether or not, if I live in New York, I might not be able to vote for the Libertarian candidate in 24. And so, I might throw the vote in for like an RFK if he ends up on the ballot, or like Cornel West if he ends up on the ballot. I a lot of times for the higher up races, I will vote for whatever third party gets there. So like I voted for Diane Sayer in 22 because like she was there. I'm gonna vote for whoever's actually on the ballot most of the time. But yeah, I'll probably support the LP. there's no one running in the LP currently that I wouldn't support. There's some people that I obviously am not going to support in the primary, but everyone running right now would get my vote and get my support and get my endorsement after DC.
Okay. Yeah, I just seen a lot of what RFK's put out. I've seen his viability is a big thing too. I mean, he is only polling at 16%, but this is literally where was it Ross Perot, I think, or somebody else? Ross Perot was at this point at the end of his campaign. This is as he just announced his independent run. So, I mean, one thing that I do see is that it's going to take away a lot of Trump support or Trump's potential support from Republicans, the ones that are disaffected, that are looking at people like Mike Pence and Doug Burgum. Who the fuck is Doug Burgum? Anyway, those people, the people that are supporting them, are going to go to RFK. These are the some of them actually.
I'd say most of the Vex voters will go to RFK after he loses as well.
Yes, I mean, hello, that's where I am. Like I was one or the other. But at this point, I just feel like, you know, every election.
What if Vivek is his running mate? If it's Kennedy Ramaswamy, that would be a ridiculous ticket.
I like that.
And
I actually haven't thought about that.
I'm not sure, but I think making the drop to VP would get him around any sore loser laws. That because there's plenty of states where if you're on the primary ballot, you can't be on the general ballot in a different party. But I think if he dropped to VP, he'd get around that. And Kennedy hasn't been on any ballots yet, so he doesn't have to worry about it. That would be. I still wouldn't like it. I wouldn't support it because I don't trust either one of them. But that would be an insane ticket.
I mean, the only thing I don't trust any politicians, just straight up. RFK, if it's Trump, I don't trust anyone. But at the end of the day, when your family history and your entire family lineage has been targeted as enemies by the U.S. government, based I'm voting for you, especially when you're anti-vax. When you just go that complete, they're trying to kill us. They're killing the babies. They got the microchips vaccine. That's my guy. That is my guy.
Man.
And if you're
the
going
full
to add
circle
bomb the border Ramaswamy onto that ticket,
bomb the border Ramaswamy. I love it. Oh man, but the full circle of my episode on your show getting taken off for me saying shit about the vaccines, you literally just saying that there's microchips in the vaccine. I can clip that and use that for eternity. But watch, this episode's not gonna get taken down anywhere, and especially because we're pushing it on Rumble, they love that shit.
Oh yeah. Remember back to blue? That was the other thing too. That was right after January 6th.
Oh yeah. That was a good fucking episode. Fuck you, YouTube. Guys, throw in the chat if you who you're supporting for president so far. I'm curious. I have no idea where my followers stand at all, because I know that I have friends in like 9 different presidential camps right now. I don't know where the actual viewership of the show lands. So tell me, guys. I'm curious. Leave a comment and tell me who you support for president, because honestly, that might affect my opinion a little bit. I like you guys because obviously you're smart enough to watch my show, so you must be smart. Angelo, thanks so much for coming on. This was absolutely fantastic.
Of course, no. Thank you for having me, and we'll be working hard here on saving Long Island, and hope to come back and keep you updated.
Fuck yeah, we'll definitely have to get some status updates as they come out. Guys, definitely go savelongisland.org/join. Give them some money. Give them some support. Sign up as a volunteer. Angelo will find some work for you, I promise. And then come on back here next week. I honestly don't have a guest booked for next week yet, so I can't tell you who it's going to be. But what I can tell you is that it's going to be a great show as always. And until then, keep up the fight.